Hi, I'm Kitsap County Commissioner Rob Gelder, and welcome to this episode of Commissioner's Corner. Today we're going to try to demystify what is a cable franchise agreement and how you can get involved in the creation of content for public access television. Welcome back. And joining me now is George Geyer with the Kitsap County Information Services Department. George, thank you very much for taking time out of your schedule to be part of the program today.
Thank you for inviting me.
So our conversation today may be one of those topics that a lot of people don't know about, franchise agreements. And what does that mean? How does that translate to public access and all of that? So my goal, hopefully, in today's program is to help demystify what franchise agreements are. So if you could start off by sharing with our viewers, really, what is a franchise agreement and how does it come about and what are the benefits of that?
Well, the cable franchise agreements we have two in place. They're for Comcast and Wave Broadband, and we have those in place because we are the stewards of the rights of way. And those companies, because of the FCC and the way the laws are written, they have to use our rights of way, and we charge them for that service. So we have a franchise agreement which covers everything, how they install, how they maintain, how they keep it clean, to how they have to bill, how they designate on their billing, to what we can do as far as customer service and how they can ask for us to intercede if they have problems. So the cable franchise came about a long time ago. They're 30, 40 years old. Mm-hmm. And they used to cover all the way down to the smallest house and plat within Kitsap County. They've combined through purchase of cable company over the years. And now within Kitsap, we have Wave Broadband at the center and South Kitsap, and then we have Comcast basically at Central and North Kitsap. Mm-hmm. And we have two franchise agreements with them. One expires in 2020. The other one with Comcast expires in 2021. And what we do is we manage that. The biggest benefit for the customers is customer service. I handle a lot of calls, a lot of complaints, a lot of issues with citizens that I'm able to resolve quickly and working with my contacts at both companies. We have created a cable website on Kitsap.gov under Cable Franchise Authority that people can get more information now than they ever have before, so they can get help sooner and quicker.
So you mentioned the use of right-of-way, and I think that's probably a key point. It's public right-of-way.
Yes. And
therefore, because the cable company is using that right-of-way basically for their business model, they're making profit from that they, through the franchise agreement, basically have to offer a public benefit for that use, correct?
Yes, there are two portions to that. Since they use our right-of-way, we charge a fee for that. They also provide us, through the Cable Act, what we call PEG fee channel, or a PEG channel. And the PEG stands for Public, Education, and Government. And when that idea first started, every municipality had three channels. They had a public channel, an educational channel, and a government channel. Cable companies came through and they looked at the usage of those channels. And if there wasn't enough what we call original content, which means our provider, BeCAT in this case, not playing the same show over and over, they need to have a certain amount of original content, that they started to take those channels away. What we're working towards now is trying to get another channel back. What we have right now is limited. We can't go below one channel, but we're supposed to have three channels. So we're trying to engage with the public to talk about what they could do and how they could engage with BeCAT, how they could basically create content for us, use it for education. They could use it for what the public's doing, what they're doing out in the public, and then expanding exactly what we're doing here, what the government's doing. Mm-hmm. So the reason we want to engage with the public is, in the past, and even in the near past, we've been using it for the government channel. There are a few citizens out there who are providing content. However, there's the vast majority of the public that doesn't understand what the public channel, education channel, is about. When they turn to BeCAT, they think it's only the government channel. And what we're trying to do is engage the public, not only the citizens and the residents of Kitsap County, but we're trying to engage the businesses, the chambers of commerce, those types of entities, to find out how they can better utilize cable TV and the other medias that they use and send our signal out to and our information out to get information out, what the chambers of commerce are doing, why public should get involved. It's also a soapbox for people that want to get involved in government. The problem that we've had in Kitsap County is people don't know, and then that's our fault. We've tried in the past, and we haven't been able to get the right information out at the right time. So in the 1984 Cable Act, they said you need to have public input, public opinion. If we put together as Kitsap County what we want in an updated franchise, the cable company is going to go, well, how does that benefit the public? Since we're providing it to the public, you're simply overseeing that. So what we've finally been able to do this year and last year, and it'll run through next year as well, is we're doing a public needs assessment. So we're actually going to the public for two reasons: to let them know what it's about and why they should hopefully get involved, and what the benefits are to them, so that down the line that they will stay involved and engaged and create original content.
So what does that needs assessment look like?
Well, what we end up doing is we go to the public, and we have 4 different meetings scheduled for October. There are 2 on the 24th, 1 in the afternoon and 1 in the evening in Port Orchard, and then 1 on the 25th in the afternoon, and then in the evening on the 25th. And those 2 meetings are up at the Water District Building in Silverdale. That information is on our website as well.
And we'll also make sure that we put it at the end of this program as well.
And the sign up is there, everything to get engaged. And what we're going to do is I have a consultant, Sue Buskey from the Buskey Group. She's been doing this for more than 30 years. She's done public needs assessments, and she's done contract negotiations as well. So she will give everybody at those meetings a brief understanding again of what cable franchise is, and then she will go into what are those benefits and how the different ways we could use that. How do we get input from the public? How do we get education, people to give us more original content and be engaged in that? She was surprised when she looked at our documentation that we have 1 channel. Because we have more than 250,000 people within Kitsap County, she's surprised we don't have at least a minimum of 2 channels. We should have, but it's based on what our public is just unaware of. And it's our job to make sure that we get that information out, and we're actually doing that through this public needs assessment. Then we'll gather all of that input, collate that, and then when we go to the cable companies with an updated franchise, and they say, why do you want this? Why do you want this? We say, because we're supporting what the public wants.
Our hope then through this is to really enlighten our populace and cable viewers to say, okay, here's some options, here's some possibilities. You got a great idea, we want to hear them. That becomes a basis for really kind of determining the need that we translate into this agreement with the cable companies going forward.
Yes.
So what types of things are we hoping to really hear or to get out of those focus groups coming up in October?
Well, I've been speaking with people over the phone, inviting them to the meetings, and there's a lot of creativity out there. They just don't know what that avenue to get it out to the public. We look at businesses, how do you get more information out, advertising, to talk about your business. And it's not going to be an individual business, it'll be a group of businesses. But how do you engage with the public? How does the public engage with them? And it's not going to be, how do we create this? Sue Buskey of the Buskey Group will bring examples. Other municipalities across the nation do this, and they do this very well. Some people are struggling, some people are doing very well. We have those examples, so we won't be reinventing the wheel. We'll be able to show people how you can benefit, how the public will benefit, how your community will benefit, how you can be more engaged with your government. So there's a lot of examples.
I think the challenge with the cable franchise agreements, understanding for the folks to see what the potential is in producing sort of that original content. In my opinion, observation anyway, it seems like there's slowly this shift in the way content is being provided to the community. You've gone from cable companies being sort of the sole way that people get content, and there's this kind of shift, it seems, where they're now a provider for the broadband for that connectivity, and people are choosing different ways of receiving content, and maybe not from a cable channel. So how does that play into this? Or it's changed since the last time we had a franchise agreement.
The two existing franchises agreements are over 10 years old. One of the problems we have is that crystal ball, figuring out what the verbiage, how do we write that in there to take advantage of technology we don't know about yet. So that's part of the things we have to look at. The other aspect, though, and what you spoke to, is what we call over the top. People are going away from cable, and they're going to the internet and looking at different organizations, different products like Hulu and whatnot. Those costs are actually increasing now. They were very expensive. Inexpensive. There were a lot of people cutting the cable, and they're seeing those costs rise. So what we still have to do, though, cable companies still provide cable TV to the outlying areas, and we're a very rural community. So we still have that, and we have to maintain that. We do use the cable franchise to make sure that we get more presence, more cable out to other locations. That's in there as well. If somebody's having a difficult time contacting the cable companies or working with them to get cable to their new community, they call me and we work with that. But we also know that there are other types of or other avenues that they get the information out. A lot of people do that over the net. They do it on their smartphone, on their tablets. We're looking at ways to incorporate that, send it out 5 different areas so people can pull it off the web. They can pull it off anytime they want. They don't just need to have a television. So we're incorporating all those pieces into the newer agreements, using it and looking at the technology that's now and upcoming.
I think you raised a point that I'd like to emphasize, and that being that through our franchise agreements, we can basically leverage that expansion of the accessibility of cable out to our more rural areas. And that really I see as a kind of a three-legged stool on some level. We've got the wave cable, Comcast, but we also have the efforts of KPUD, the Kitsap Public Utility District, now sort of trying to push that connectivity out into the community. How effective is the franchise agreement in really being able to leverage and motivate the cable franchises to sort of get out into our more rural communities?
Standalone, they weren't that enforceful. However, Kitsap County is a member of what we call the Washington Association of Telecommunications Officers and Advisors. It's a consortium, a large group of folks just like myself in every municipality across the state that band together, and as one improvement happens in one community, we know that and we share that information so that we go to the cable company and we say, okay, there's new technology, we want the same type of technology, and we're able to inch forward, and provide better services for the citizens. One of the best things that we were able to get out of the cable franchises the last time we did the renewals, we added significant verbiage in for customer service. The average speed of answer, speed of return, speed of technician to property to get things repaired, they went up significantly. Both cable companies have to give me or provide Kitsap County an annual report on what all of those metrics are. And if they fall below those metrics, I often get a call with the explanations why, and that they're working to improve those. So we do get a lot better customer service. People have called me from citizens have called me. I've handed out business cards, and that's why we created the webpage, because it's got more information that I can provide every time I see somebody. And I encourage people to go to that page and look at it. It's got not only my contact information, but all the frequently asked questions. It shows the last 4 or 5 bulletins from each company showing the price changes, changes to the channel lineups. Those are on there. Copies of the existing franchise agreements are on there. I also have the contacts of the cities, my counterparts within each of the cities, because the biggest thing to keep in mind, we can only take care of, or by the contract, we take care of everybody in the unincorporated counties.
Right.
So what happens if I have a resident call me, my first question, after I've heard their concern or their issue, I have to ask them, where do you live? Do you live in one of the cities or do you live in the county? So I can still help them. And then I still forward them on to, I'll give them advice of what I've seen before. If they're in the unincorporated county, then I call my contact with whichever provider. And we've had excellent service, excellent response from both companies. And then if they're in the city, I give them contact information for the city, and they've already had, a brief introduction on what to ask for when they contact the individual in the city. So we've come a long ways with customer service, just the basics of being able to help the citizens.
Great. So customer service, access in our rural communities, trying to expand that, and trying to create new content, I think
Yes.
is a great emphasis for the franchise agreements. And again, just to make a plug, stay tuned. You'll have information at the end of the program with the focus groups coming up in October, different areas of interest, trying to structure it that way. So if there's one of them that you think would be right up your alley, make sure that you try to attend one of those, because our upcoming agreements and renewals will be really based on your opinion and your thoughts of how it could be better and what we can do. So, George, thank you very much for being part of the program today, and stay tuned, we'll be right back. So welcome back. Joining me now is John Rauch, who's the manager of BeCAT, or Bremerton-Kitsap Access Television. So John, thanks so much for being part of the program as well.
Well, welcome. Thank you very much for being here.
I had the opportunity to learn a little bit about sort of the upcoming franchise agreements and the updating of that. But what I'd like to really ask you about is producing content for public access TV. So it's changed a lot, right, over the past couple decades, where we had sort of, the old cameras that we'd take out, and we actually had, some type of film that's gone digital, and now everybody with an iPhone or an Android can create content out there. So tell us a little bit about how does BeCAT support members of our community when it comes to producing original content?
Well, you're right. BeCAT can support people who make their own content, and the other right thing is that everybody has access to video now, whether it's on your phone or buying a really good camera. Even the not so good cameras look pretty darn good these days. But they can also come to BeCAT, become a member, and you can check out a good HD camera, take it out on the street, use it, and make your own show, and take it home, edit it, bring it back. We have one edit room for the public. It's Final Cut 10, and they just have to learn it, and we can help them learn how to use it. And it's pretty sweet editing gear. It's really professional, but it's also simple enough for pretty much anyone to pick up and learn.
So what types of services does BeCAT offer for individuals who might have a great idea? It's not only, I think that I'd like to have a little bit of an understanding of, there's a physical plant here, there's an office, there are studios, but what does someone do if they want to come into the studio and create content?
If they want to come into the studio, again, become a member. a whopping $25 a year, and they can come in and bring a group of people with them if they want to crew their own program. We teach the entire group how to operate the cameras and the switching gear and the lighting and the microphones, everything you need to make a television show in the studio. And then you're pretty much on your own. When you want to come in, you guys delegate who's going to direct it and make the program, and you do it. And we're there to help, answer questions as needed. The other way you can use a studio is a thing we call instant television. Again, if you're a member, you can use it once a quarter, and the BeCAT staff will do the work. You just have to show up, tell us what you want to do. You get like an hour or so to make the program. 9 times out of 10, the person comes in with a disc. We record it, hand them their disc, and they take it home and edit it. Most everybody edits at home now. There's a writers group who came in about 1 or 2 years ago and said that they would like to showcase all the writers in Kitsap County, with their authorship of books, and they also, like to talk about. They just like to talk about writer stuff, and so. They brought in a group of people that we taught how to use the cameras, and we showed them how to talk on set. And so it's evolved into a program that we record every month. We're going to do it today. At the last Tuesday of each month, they come in, and they're the happiest group of people who come in. They really enjoy talking about writing, and they produce a show each month. And they take it home and edit it, and we play it for them.
So along with the equipment that they can potentially borrow, get trained on, there's also, given the technology that most people have in their pocket, how does BeCAT support individuals when it comes to kind of doing it on their own, and maybe from the comfort of their own office at home or their own laptop? How does that happen?
If they have their own gear and want to edit at home, oftentimes they have their own gear and they don't really know how to make a program with it. We can teach them how to shoot, how to plan for a production, and do all the things that you need to do to make a good television show. Then they edit it at home. 9 times out of 10, they already know how to do that, and they can have more control over it because they're sitting at home making their own program. Then we would give them access to liquid files, which is a cloud-based storage system for us. They upload it to that. We find out that it's available. We download it, and then we play it on the air. And they can do that in a number of ways, where we can play it, kind of as a filler for a program, or if they have a continuing series that they want to do, we have a mechanism in place that we can lock in a time for them each week, so they can tell all their friends or advertise that their program's on the air on BeCAT at a certain time.
Are there new technologies that you're seeing that are kind of emerging that BeCAT will be trying to incorporate into how you produce content?
Well, GoPros are pretty awesome. Everybody's kind of use those. I think the market's saturated already. Almost anybody who wants a GoPro's got a GoPro. The coolest thing I think is the Osmo. We used it for a shoot recently with the mayor of Bremerton, where he was riding with the bike unit, and it's I don't know if you remember the old days where you'd see let's say some sort of Hollywood show that's on stage, and they got this guy wearing this big massive bodysuit with a camera attached to it. Well, now it's all built into a little handheld unit that I was shooting with it, sitting in the back of the BeCAT car, and following the mayor and 2 policemen riding bicycles, and it looks rock solid steady, and the colors are excellent, and it's a beautiful piece of equipment. And it's only like $500 versus the thousands and thousands that you used to have to, use for wearing a suit like that. I mentioned earlier that the editing was really a big deal. The editing software now is fantastic. It's easy to use, and it looks totally over-the-top professional. It's really good stuff.
Yeah. So what are your expectations of the public needs assessment and the franchise agreement renewal?
Well, I expect to see more of what the community wants in a public access channel. I think they're going to have more ideas, and I'm really curious to see how the ideas that come out of the franchise or the renewal process differ from the ideas I hear from the public on a day-to-day basis. You know, I'm here 40 or 50 hours a week, and I'm pretty much in tune with what the community wants from a cable channel. But I think with the county opening up this to like a much more formalized and widespread invitation for ideas, that's going to be interesting to see, because I think in the focus groups there's going to be a lot of ideas generated and added onto and enhanced and sent back to us.
So what do you see as some of the biggest challenges going forward in a changing media landscape?
Well, the biggest challenge is to stay relevant in all those different platforms. You know, we have an obligation to do cable because we are a cable channel, but to spin that off into streaming and on-demand services and still get the word out to people to use those services as well as the cable, that's the biggest challenge. We have to be good at all of those.
And I've heard you use the phrase digital first. So can you explain to our viewers, what do you mean by that?
I stole it from the New York Times. It's a theory that came out in about 2014 to acknowledge that the pace of our industry is so fast that we have to speed up to keep up. And for BeCAT, as a cable channel, generally we would build a television show first for the cable and put it in its slot. So that could mean a couple weeks worth of time would lapse between the time we shot something to the time it airs. And so what we're doing is we're flipping that on its head and shooting first, editing quickly a segment or something to put up on Facebook. And so the public will see us out shooting. We'll post to Facebook that we're out shooting something, and in a relatively short time they'll see a product come out that way. And so the idea would be that we'll build these segments that we shoot, post on Facebook, and then stack those segments into the cable slot later in the month. And so we don't have to re-edit so much. We build it the front end, we build it front first, digital first, cable second, but still a very important part of our job is to supply the cable channel with material. And the great thing about Facebook is we can actually see who's watching us. We can get real numbers where we can't with the cable.
John, thank you so much for being part of the program today. I really appreciate it. And for all of our viewers of the program today, I just want to thank you also for tuning in, and to make sure that when you check out the opportunities for coming to one of those focus groups, don't worry about the categories that might be there for any one of them. If it pertains to you, great. If not, we just want you to participate somehow. So make sure you check those out, and if you can schedule that on your calendar, please do. So thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.